Let's be honest, dealing with debt is stressful enough, but when you hear those words, sent to collections, it can be genuinely scary. What does that even mean? Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain and break down the entire collections process, step by step, so you can go from feeling uncertain to feeling empowered.
So let's just get right to it. What really happens? Is it just a bunch of annoying phone calls, or is it something more serious? Spoiler alert, there's definitely more to it. It's a very specific financial process that has real consequences, and we're going to walk through exactly how it all works.
All right, here's our game plan for today. We're going to start with the spark, how a single late payment can escalate. Then we'll talk about the handoff to a debt collector and the very strict rules they have to play by. After that, we'll look at the damage to your credit score, bust some common myths, and finally, we'll lay out the plan so you know your rights and how to recover.
Okay, so let's kick things off at the very beginning. Every collection story has an origin point, and it rarely starts with some big disaster. More often than not, it all begins with a single missed payment that just starts to snowball.
The clock starts ticking the very first day a payment is officially late. Then, usually around the 30-day mark, it gets reported to the credit bureaus. As the months go by, it gets more and more serious, until somewhere between 120 and 180 days, the original company you owed money to makes a big decision. They decide to write the debt off their books.
And that's when you hear this term, charge-off. Now, this sounds kind of final, doesn't it? But here's the thing you absolutely have to remember. A charge-off is just a fancy accounting term. It just means the company is marking the debt as a loss on their books for tax reasons. It does not mean your debt is forgiven or canceled. Oh no, that debt is still very much alive and it's about to get a new owner.
And that brings us right to the next phase, the handoff. Once the original company has washed its hands of the debt, a whole new player enters the game. So what happens to that charged-off debt? Well, the original creditor often sells it. Yep, they sell the right to collect that debt to a third-party collection agency, and they usually sell it for just pennies on the dollar. The collector's entire business model is to then try to collect on that debt to turn a profit. And this is when the calls stop coming from, say, your credit card company, and start coming from a company you've never ever heard of before.
Okay, so now there's a debt collector involved. But this isn't the Wild West, They can't just do whatever they want. There are actual, serious federal laws that say what they can and can't do, rules that are there specifically to protect you.
And the big one, the law you really need to know, is the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, or the FDCPA. You can think of it as the official rulebook for debt collectors. It lays out in black and white exactly what's fair game and what is totally out of bounds.
So let's break this down. What can they do? Well, they can call you and send you letters. They can report the debt to the credit bureaus, and yeah, they can even sue you to collect. But the can't-do list is what's really important. They absolutely cannot harass or threaten you. They can't lie about who they are or how much you owe. They're not allowed to call you at unreasonable times, like super early in the morning or late at night. And this is a big one. They can't discuss your private debt with just anyone, like your boss or your family. Knowing these rules is your first and best line of defense.
All right, so beyond just the letters and phone calls, having an account in collections leaves a really significant and long-lasting mark on your most important financial scorecard, your credit score.
Your credit score is made up of a few different things, but by far the biggest piece of the pie is your payment history. It makes up a whopping 35% of your score. In a collection account? Well, that's a giant flashing red light right in the middle of that biggest, most important category. It's basically signaling to any future lender that you failed to pay a debt in the past.
And here's the real kicker. That collection account can legally stay on your credit report for 7 years. 7! That is a long-lasting financial echo from the date the bill first became late, and it can affect your ability to get loans, credit cards, or even just an apartment for years to come.
Okay, it's time for some myth-busting. There are so many misunderstandings about debt collections, and honestly, believing some of this stuff can lead to some really costly mistakes.
Let's separate fact from fiction. First myth. Paying a collection makes it disappear from your credit report. The reality? Nope. It stays on there for 7 years, but its status gets updated to paid, which definitely looks better to lenders. Next myth. You need to hire a credit repair company to fix things. The truth is, you can dispute any errors on your report all by yourself, for free. And nobody can legally remove negative information that's actually accurate. And one last myth. Paying utility bills on time builds your credit. You'd think so, right? But actually, those on-time payments usually aren't reported at all. The only time they show up is if you don't pay and the account goes to collections.
So we've gone through the process and the pitfalls. Now let's talk about the most important part, your action plan. Because understanding your rights is the absolute key to taking back control of the situation.
Okay, listen up, because this is one of the most powerful tools you have. It's your right to debt validation. The law gives you 30 days from the collector's first contact to send them a written request that basically says, prove it. Prove that I actually owe this debt. And until they send you that proof, they have to stop all collection efforts. This is so critical, especially for dealing with old or potentially inaccurate debts.
And the process for cleaning up your credit report is actually pretty straightforward. First, get your free reports from the only official source, which is annualcreditreport.com. Second, review them carefully for any mistakes, accounts you don't recognize, wrong balances, anything. Third, if you find an error, you have the right to file a dispute with both the credit bureau and the company that reported it. And finally, just provide copies of any documents you have to back up your claim. And remember, this entire investigation process is free.
So there you have it. The whole journey, from a missed payment all the way to a collection account, is complex, but it's all governed by clear rules and consumer rights. Understanding this process moves you from a position of stress to one of empowerment. So the question now is, armed with all this knowledge, what steps will you take to write your own credit story?
Hey, for more explainers that make complex financial topics simple and actionable, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.